What's going on, everybody? It is Monday, the 2nd of September, 2024. It is 9:30 a.m. here in Germany. This is the Insanity Report for today. We're 2 months out from Election Day in America, but here in Germany, over the weekend, actually yesterday on Sunday, we had some very important elections. They are state elections. So you've got the federal government, which is the Bundestag, that everybody in the world talks about. And then you've got like state elections. Then they have like a mini federal system within each state in Germany. There are 16 states in Germany, and in 2 of them, in Thuringen and Sachsen, they had elections. And the elections turned out to be that most of that area voted for the AfD, which is fantastic news. Now, I'm going to try to make this not super complicated for y'all because the system is a little bit different than it is in the States. But the point of this video today, the point of the Insanity Report, is to point out to you once again, those of you that watch me in America, that the problem your country is having is not native to just America. The leftist ideology, the wokeism, is everywhere. Everywhere in the Western world where these people are in power, the countries are turning to shit. And everywhere in the Western world at the moment, we see at least mini uprisings of people that have had it with these type of politics, that have had it with a government that looks down on them and makes policy over their heads and against their interests. And so they are voting for the only parties and the only people that seem to be willing to at least try to turn these leftist ideologue ships around. And that is generally parties that would be considered on the right today and would have been seen as conservative 5 years ago. So those people, they're populists. And those people and those parties are getting elected. And the establishment, as you can imagine, is fucking hating it. They're hating it. So, let me explain as quickly as I can without confusing you too much how it works and why these 2 elections in these 2 states are so important. And the reason why they're important is this time around with the elections, these elections in these states are basically a preview of what's going to happen in the national elections. Okay? It's a preview of what's going to happen in the national elections because the people all over Germany have had it with certain policies, one of the main ones being the massive immigration of people from Muslim countries into this country. Both illegal and legal, vetted and unvetted, doesn't matter. It's causing a hell of a lot of problems. People are afraid for their lives. They don't want to go to big crowded areas anymore because people just get stabbed at random, like what happened in Zolingen 2 weeks ago. It is complete madness, and people want something done about it. Another thing that people want something done about is the hemorrhaging of money to Ukraine. People have had enough. People generally have the idea, okay, it's time to force a settlement somehow, and the only way the West can have any influence on forcing a settlement is by stopping the delivery of weapons and money to Ukraine. I know that sounds harsh. That is the only way, though, because if you continue to give weapons and money to Ukraine, they're going to continue this war unendingly until it turns into something much bigger, which, since we're pretty close to Russia, I really would not rather have be the case. All right. Anyway, those are 2 examples of the things that people in this country have had enough of, the immigration being the biggest one. And the reason why the AfD, the so-called far-right Nazi party, which of course they are not, the reason why they have become so popular over the last years is because especially this problem, this immigration issue. The AfD is the only party that wants to do something about the massive immigration into the country. They are going to do what they can do to deport illegals, to deport criminals, and have a migration policy that makes sense, not one that destroys the whole country. So people, even though these people have been, the AfD has been stigmatized and demonized in the left-wing media, which is basically state media here in Germany, their propaganda, just like in America. The mainstream corporate media and the state media, we have both, okay? We have corporate media and we have state-sponsored media, which is all Pravda, it's all propaganda. And they have been able to and successful in brainwashing most of the German public in the west of Germany, where I live, into believing that the AfD is the second coming of Hitler and that voting them in would be extremely dangerous for the country and democracy and blah, blah, blah. Now, we see the grip on the narrative that the establishment has had over the last decades in all of our countries. We see that slipping, and therefore we see a bunch more censorship, okay? Because they have to get control of the narrative again, because if they don't, things like the election of Donald Trump in 2016, the election of Donald Trump in 2024, Brexit, and now the AfD party becoming more popular, things like that start happening when people start getting informed about what the establishment politicians are actually doing. So they're losing their grip on power, and therefore they get more and more authoritarian and totalitarian, because their view of democracy is only they run the show, they make the rules, they are in power, and if they ever get voted out by the democratic process, well, then there's something wrong with the people in the country that are voting the wrong way. And sometimes they'll take a little bit of the blame and say, well, you know, we must not have explained our policies well enough to the people, so we're going to take this opportunity of getting our ass handed to us to tell the people, look, no, we're going to stay in power. You know, I know you didn't vote for us, but we're going to stay in power. And we promise we'll explain our policies better to y'all so you guys understand next time, and don't think that you have to vote for far-right extremists in order to get the policies you want, because you're getting the policies you want. You just don't understand that. And so we'll explain it better. And that's about the length of the guilt they take upon themselves for what is happening, right? So in Thuringen and in Sachsen, these state elections were held. And the fear was that the AfD was going to be very popular, because in East Germany, where these states are, they are much more, let's see, sensitive to socialism, because they lived through it. As you remember, the Berlin Wall only fell in '89, and that was not so long ago. And these people remember what fascism and socialism and communism and dictatorship looks like, and they don't want that ever again. And so they've been on the side of the AfD much longer than people in the West are taking to get on that side. They have been on that side for a long time. They have decided long ago that the AfD is going to be part of their government structures. And this time, the vote was overwhelming. The AfD whipped all the establishment parties in Thuringen. They won outright. They won the majority, okay? That's great. But it's also real weird, and I'll get to the weird part in just a second. Not to take Kamala Harris's slogan from her, but look. So they won in Thuringen, and they were second place in Sachsen, but only by a little teeny bit. The CDU, which is the Christian Democrat Party, they are supposed to be. They have been, I don't know. They've called themselves. They're seemingly in Germany the conservative party. They're religious conservative party. Now, I don't know how religious they really are. They fly under this Christian Democrat name, I think, only. I would say that a lot of these people are basically evil. I can't imagine that they're true practicing Christians in any way, but they fly under that flag. So they're the ones that are supposed to be conservative. Now, they haven't been conservative for about 20 years, because Angela Merkel, which was the leader of that party and also the Chancellor of Germany for 16 years, basically took that party to the left. Just like what's happening in America with the Rhino Republicans. The left is going so far left that they're pulling the Overton window, and all the people that are in the middle but still want to keep their jobs and still want to be politicians, they've all also got to move to the left, because otherwise they're done. And so they're not the patriots. They're not the people that we want representing us. We want people representing us that represent the interests of the people that pay taxes. So I'm not a German citizen, but I'm a taxpayer. So as long as I'm paying this government taxes and I'm working here to supply this government with money, then I feel like I have a say in what the hell goes on. That's just logical, right? So don't give me any shit about, well, you're not German. Well, no, that doesn't mean shit. I pay money for this place. You know what I'm saying? I pay pretty goddamn high taxes. Okay? And Germany has been run by the CDU for the last 2 decades, pretty much. This time, now they're in the opposition in the national government, like the federal government. But they won seats in both Thuringen and Sachsen, right? But the AFD did get very, very, very high percentage points. Like I said, they came in second place in Sachsen, and they're number 1 in Thuringen. So, turning on the propaganda media this morning was like watching a funeral procession. These people, boy, I mean, you know, in the States, the leftist idiots will probably get violent. Here, these people seem like they have been downtrodden. Because there's a lot of them that believe that now, you know, well, shit, now it's the return to fascism. You know what I'm saying? Now we're going to be put in gulags. Like Robert De Niro said, Trump's going to come after him. Right? And these people are worried. And they, you know, some of them might be rightly worried, because the more power these parties get, the AFD gets, the more of their insane ideological power will evaporate. You know what I'm saying? People will start losing jobs. They'll start becoming irrelevant. The criminals, the corrupt, might be prosecuted and put in prison. Who knows what they're going to do? They know that the establishment parties won't do anything, though, and that's comfortable for everybody. That's how they want to keep it. Status quo. Let's keep doing what we're doing, even though it's not working at all for the German people. We're going to keep going on that course. And that's where things get dicey here now. And that's the weird part I was telling you about, right? So even though the AFD won, like, outright in Thuringen, right? They were party number 1. And here, unlike the United States, you vote for people who are part of a party, right? Here, you vote for a party, and the people that are in it, you get all of them. You see, so you vote for the party, which is doesn't make much sense to me, and especially not when the place claims to be a democracy, or it calls itself a democracy. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's also a republic like America, it's a representative republic. But they also, especially the leftists, the ideologues, like to throw around the word democracy. You know, even the dictatorships, they call themselves the best democracies in the world. You know what I mean? But that's because, and the only reason that works is because the people are forced to say, yes, this is the best democracy ever. You know, otherwise they risk going to jail or getting fined or whatever. But that's the same as we do here. That Germany's not a fucking democracy. Far from it. It's also not a democratic republic. You know what I'm saying? It is, but it's not a functioning one. Because the fact is, even though the AFD got the most votes in Thuringen, they are the leader, right? Number 1. There is still a high chance that they will not be in the reigning government. Now you ask, how is that possible? I can't tell you. You know what I'm saying? My best guess is the way it apparently works, as far as I understand it. Now, I might be wrong a little bit, but I think I've got a pretty good grip on it, right? So the fact is, the other parties, see, you need over 5% to be able to get into the government and be able to be considered to be part of a coalition, right? So they have to form a coalition. Nobody on these votes, nobody on this election got the absolute majority. If you get the absolute majority, you don't need to form coalitions. But any ruling parties in Thuringen and Sachsen will have to form some sort of coalition. And how could they not form a coalition with the AFD if the AFD is the biggest party, you ask? Yes, that is a good question. That's a very good question. If it's true that they could just avoid it, then this is not democratic at all. This is the will of the people being utterly subverted, because the reigning parties and the establishment parties would like to remain in power. Okay? And they're going to do whatever they can to subvert the marching up of the right-wing parties. And in their view, the AFD is a Nazi party. In their view, what they espouse is that the AFD is a fascist party. And what they say, that's what people generally believe, although that belief is obviously tapering down quite a bit since the AFD got the biggest numbers ever. Right? So I'm being told they're going to do is the CDU came in second place in Thuringen, so they are going to collide, they're going to form a coalition with 2 other parties in order to make the percentage they need to be the ruling party. So they can just cut out the major winner. Okay? Now, I know it's infuriating to even talk about it because it is so insane. But let me tell you, okay, it's still great. It's still great. Not much is going to change right now, but this is going to be a warning sign for the establishment parties in the federal government, because their parties were completely knocked out of the race in these 2 state elections. So that would be like it compared to that in 2 states in America, during voting time, both states elected independents and just cut out the major parties altogether. They're gone. Democrats and Republicans no longer run the show in 2 states. Now it's independents and the Democrats and Republicans are out. That's how much of a slap in the face this is for the establishment parties that are in the federal government here. They are very disappointed in the voter. Yes. And they are spending all their days, the next week or so, they're going to be out there telling the voters and telling the people of Germany that East Germany is far-right racist Nazis that voted in a fascist government, and that cannot be accepted. That's crazy, right? We just have to explain our policies much better. That's what they're going to be doing. You know what I mean? But I think we've reached a point where that shit isn't going to work. I think that shit's just going to backfire on them, like it did on the Democrats with the whole Donald Trump fucking lawsuits and criminal cases and all this other shit. I think that they're going to have to play their cards very, very carefully if they want to have any chance of winning national elections next fall, because otherwise it's going to be AFD all around, which I would be a fan of because I'm on their side completely. They are the only ones that are even talking about anything that has to do with interest of German people, interest of tax-paying people, interest of hard-working people, all of which I am one except German, right? So anyway, it was for the German situation, this was like an earthquake in the voting process. And guys, in America, listen closely, something that's very important for you guys to understand. The reason why the AFD, who has up until now been kept down by the establishment party and the West German mentality, that it's worked to keep them labeled as far-right Nazis, and people have been afraid to vote for them. And in all the other elections before, they kept voting on the status quo. This is the first time ever that the AFD has gotten this much support in elections. And the reason why it happened is this was a 70% turnout. The biggest turnout since World War II in the German history for a state election. The biggest. The bigliest people. That's it. It was the people came out. The people came out and said, enough is enough. And that's what we need. Excuse me. That's what we need in America too. See, there is a way to beat the cheat in America. You can. They're going to cheat. Of course they're going to cheat. Now they're going to cheat harder. You know what I'm saying? Because of the union between RFK and Trump. They're going to do everything they possibly can, both legal and illegal, and we know it. But the way to beat it is to have the biggest turnout in the history of America for voting that the U.S. has ever seen. And that's the way to beat the cheat, people. That's the way you can beat it, right? You need to turn out. That's the way you can beat it. You need to turn out. It's very important. And Germany showed, these 2 states in Germany showed you that it works. Okay? And trust me, I'm sure that the establishment is trying to cheat to get out of the AFD getting any power. Absolutely. But I think that the turnout was just too big for them to overcome it. And that's what you need to do in the States. So take this as another warning from my end. I know you guys are getting tired of hearing about it, but that really is. If you want to beat the Democrats at cheating the election, all you have to do is get out and vote in such massive numbers that they can't do it. And Thuringen and Sachsen are examples of that. Now, let me tell you, another crazy story about this, another crazy part of this election thing is that the CDU, okay, the other parties are irrelevant. The 2 parties that are relevant in this story, so not to make it too complicated, are the CDU and the AFD. The AFD is the far-right Nazi party. They're not, but that's what they call them. You know what I'm saying? That's what the establishment calls them. and the CDU is the supposed conservatives, which are basically leftists at this point, okay? They're woke leftists, and they are just trying to stay in power. They want to have power back on the national level, back on the federal level, and they want to stay in power in these states. And so the only way for them to do that is to form a coalition with two other parties that will make the numbers high enough for them to be the reigning party. So yes, they can just cut out the AFD. They probably will, because they have like an official firewall. They talk about it all the time. A firewall between the establishment Democratic parties and the AFD. None of the Democratic parties will ever work with the AFD, even though, guys, the AFD is a Democratic party too, because they got voted into office by the people of the country. See, that's democracy, guys. Sorry. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry that you think it's something else, but that's what it is. I know see, that's the thing with the left. You hear it in the States too. They're always talking about, well, Trump's a threat to our democracy. Yeah, their democracy is they're in power. They call the shots. They reign with an iron fist over the people of the country, and the people of the country pay for it and shut the fuck up. That's their democracy. Same thing here in Germany. Same thing in every Western country being run by leftist ideologues. Look at Brazil. Okay, Brazil is banning X because there's a leftist tyrant at the head of the Supreme Court there. And so it's all the same everywhere. It's no different. America is not unique in this. This is a global fight. So a win for the AfD in Germany is a win for freedom in America, because you can see that all over the world, all over the Western world, the populace is moving right. They are done with leftist craziness. They're done. They've overplayed their hand. The left has overplayed their hand, and the people have just fucking had it. And they're all moving to the right. Some places are going faster than others, but everyone is falling slowly in line. You see it everywhere. Now, that's a white pill. That's a white pill, but you've got to take the white pill and then take it every day and hold on to this. Ride the wave out. Don't bail. Go out and vote. Stay involved. Stay on top of these people. Check out your congressmen's and your senators' voting records. And if they're not voting the way you want, fucking get rid of them. If we wrestle back power from these leftist insane people, we've got to hang on to it. And the way we hang on to it is by staying vigilant as citizens of the countries. The people have to get involved and stay involved. You don't have to make politics your life, but you do have to be involved in the process in some way or another and keep an eye on what the hell is going on. Apathy is what got us here in the first place, people. All right? So that's a lesson. Okay? So the good news is, while this election in these two states in Germany is not going to change anything on the world level, certainly nothing on German level, and maybe a little bit on the state level. And yes, they're going to undemocratically keep the AfD out if they can. But you know what the good thing about that is? They're going to collide. They're going to make coalitions. The CDU is going to form coalitions with a party that is called the leftists. Okay, they've been in power also. They are socialists. They're mad. They're like leftist lunatics, right? That is the opposite of conservatism, right? The complete opposite. The CDU has also built this firewall I was talking about against the leftists. They will never make a coalition with leftists. They've said that to their base. They've said that to the world for years and years and years and decades, and they've never had to, so they've been able to keep this upright. But now they've got a firewall against the leftists and the AfD, and without one of them, they won't be in power. So they are going to have to bend on one of their firewalls. And of course, the people voted for the AfD and the CDU. The AfD is supposedly far right, and the CDU is supposedly conservative, right? Those two parties are the parties that the people voted for. You would think that, and if they merge, if they make a coalition, they've got the majority, and that's all they need is them too. You know what I mean? And they won't do it. No, they're going to go against what the people want in order to do what they want, because in their political establishment world, it is they're very, very unappeasing and unappealing, and also deemed to be unsupportive of the democracy if you work with the AfD. So all the establishment parties, all their people, all their friends at the cocktail parties, all the leftist journalists, everybody except for their own party members and their own supporters will hate them. But as in America, these people in the establishment don't care about the support of their supporters unless it's voting time. But they do care how the media looks at them and the parties they're invited to and the other establishment corrupt cronies, how they look at them, and the lobbyists. Those are who these people cater to, right? And they're making it clear again, if they say to their voter base, yes, we know you want right-wing or conservative politics because otherwise you wouldn't have voted for the CDU and the AFD, but we're not going to give it to you. As a matter of fact, we're going to make a coalition with our mortal enemy, the leftists. That's what they're going to do. So the good thing about this is they are going to do it. You know what I'm saying? You would think, isn't that political suicide? Yes, it is. It is political suicide. But that's okay. Let them fucking commit political suicide. Okay? In the meantime, the right will still keep rising. In the meantime, the public and the citizens of the country will still continue to rise up more and more. Will still continue to understand what this is all about and understand that it's us against the establishment, not us against each other. So that's all going to continue, and the frustration in the media and the establishment's going to continue, which is hilarious to watch. Why not watch them melt down? It's funny as shit, right? And then next year, in the fall, there's going to be the national elections, there's going to be the federal elections, and then there's going to be another slap in the face. This firewall system these guys got going is not sustainable, and they know it. If they choose to make a coalition with the leftists instead, or the Green Party, they might do that, but the Green Party's out. In both of these states, the Green Party didn't even make 5%. They're out completely. Thank God. That's it with this climate bullshit craziness. You know, ruining our economies with climate, crazy, insane policies that do nothing for the world climate. That's another good thing. Another slap in the face for them. I love it. I hate the Green Party and everything they stand for, because they don't stand for, the earth being a not polluted place. They don't stand for the climate change thing. They don't stand for animal rights. They stand for doing what they want to do and everybody falling in line with the climate agenda. And they are completely out. Fantastic. Another great thing. But that leaves the leftists. And if the CDU forms a coalition with the leftists over the AFD, and they have to try to sell that to the constituency, good luck. I'm going to watch that speech. That's going to be a great one. I'll keep you guys updated on it. Good luck with that, people. Now, that was the Insanity Report for today. I know that people often think that, well, what's happening in Germany doesn't really matter. It does matter, because like I said, I've pointed it out now a couple times in this video, the whole thing is connected. It's establishment, crony, corrupt globalists, wokesters against the people everywhere. And wherever the people are rising up and saying, we will have no more of this, that is a good thing for everybody else, because it shows us all that we are not alone. It shows us all that we are actually the majority, and that's what we need. Once people understand that they're actually in the majority and that this woke insanity is the minority of people, right, then we are going to feel more empowered. We are going to want to be more involved and stay more involved. We're going to be part of the process. We're going to take care of business. Yeah, and then we're going to be less afraid to say what we want to say, less afraid to give our opinion, less afraid to use our freedom of speech rights, and things will start slowly correcting in the correct direction, and that's what we need. So guys, this was the Insanity Report for Monday, the 2nd of September. If you guys like my stuff, you want it directly in your inbox, please do so. Get it by subscribing to my Substack below. The links are down there. You can do it for free. You can also do it for $5 a month. I would appreciate that greatly, of course. Either way, you'll get the Insanity Report, the weekly rant, and all the articles I write in your inbox automatically. And if you're watching me on another platform, then join me there, follow me there. But also, I would appreciate your subscription at Substack, because you get everything there automatically. It's easier for everybody. And I concentrate my support in one place, which is Substack, which is not censoring anything or not deleting videos. So that's what I'd like to stay doing. I'd like you to join there. My Substack is It's All About Logic, all one word. It's All About Logic, all one word, .substack.com. Join me there. All right, people, have a great one. We'll see you tomorrow.